All right, everyone. Well, again, thanks for taking some time out of your day to come through to this workshop. If you guys don't see my little name tag below below my face, my name is Brando. I'm a fourth year peer mentor for this academic year, and I'm here with my co-peer mentor Olivia. And today we are kind of gonna talk about the basic CNAS Scholars positions. We're gonna go over quite a few, but more in depth into three. And today we just want you to, walk out of this workshop knowing what you could possibly apply for and the responsibilities for each. And also I'd like to mention that, there's probably going to be a lot of questions. So if you guys want to save it for after the presentation, I think that's the way it'll go like the most smoothly. So yeah, let's get started.
All right, so just as a little introduction of myself, my name's Olivia. I'm a fourth year peer mentor, just like Brando. And so yeah, just to start off this workshop, just a quick little icebreaker by a show of hands, whether or not it's your virtual hand or your physical hand, how many of you have participated as a mentee your first year in college? Okay. Ooh, nice. Seeing more hands than I expected. Can I get a volunteer to just like talk about which program you were a part of? And you can go ahead and unmute or chat if you like.
I was a part of the year-long peer mentor program. I
Nice.
don't know if you
That
can
was
hear
with
me.
CNAS Scholars.
Yeah, it's CNAS Scholars with that learning community, I believe. Yeah.
Awesome, nice. And if I can ask you a follow-up question, why did you join the peer program as a mentee?
Because a lot of my when I was going to college, a lot of my friends who were like sophomores and juniors, they were telling me like it's worth it because a lot of times freshmen get lost, and the mentors really help the freshmen out. So I just wanted some guidance, I guess.
Awesome. And so since you're here at this workshop, it doesn't have to be you, but anyone can else answer this question. What do you hope to gain by working as a peer?
Probably providing like the best guidance so like freshmen and other students wouldn't make the mistakes that I made.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely one of the reasons why I went to or got interested in this peer program in this position. So it's really awesome. Thank you. So yeah, as you guys may know, around UCR, there's plenty of different other peer programs besides the CNAS Scholars one. So Coastal Hall Diversity, Office of Undergraduate Education, HPAC, there's so many. Just as a heads up for all of y'all, you didn't have to be a mentee your first year in order to apply for these positions that we'll be describing. So that's really awesome. All right, we can move on.
All right, awesome. So for those of you that were in the learning community for either your first year or this year, if you're first year, I just wanted to point out that the way that the Undergraduate Academic Advising Center or the UAAC works, it's like a umbrella, right? So all of it falls under this Academic Advising Center, and one of the three departments that like we fall under and what these positions all fall under is called the CNAS Scholars Department. So that is the second little umbrella right there. So after your first year, after you finish a year in your LC or learning community as a peer mentee, you could apply to like various positions such as Rise, Persist, and then like your peer positions like the peer mentors, the PALs, or the peer academic leaders, as well as the peer advisors. So there's more information about Rise and Persist, which are more research-based and different workshops that we offer, and on the website as well. But today we're going to dive like more specifically into peer mentoring, peer academic leader, and peer advisors today. But yeah, that's just the umbrella effect, kind of where everything falls. And this is all eligible as after completing your 1 year in the learning community for CNAS.
All right, thanks, Brando, for that nice intro. So just as a little overview for all the positions that are available to you all to apply for, there are these three: peer mentors, peer academic leaders, and peer advisors. You can apply to all three. You don't have to be limited to one, but of course you're going to have to only be hired for one if that's the case. So starting with peer mentors, that's what Brando and I are. There are currently 8 paid positions. It's a year-long commitment. It involves NAS 93. You're assigned 25 to 30 mentees. You have the responsibility of leading workshops just like this, and as well as tabling. Back when we are in person on campus, you can help with tabling at the advising center. And then next we have our peer academic leaders. And this is a new position starting this past 2020. There are 4 paid positions, but the commitment is only for fall quarter. And it also involves attending or teaching NASC 93. And then lastly, we have our peer advisors. This is also new starting this past year. There are 8 volunteer positions. It is a year-long commitment. You are involved in NASC 93 as well as the drop-in peer advising. We will go into further detail about all of these responsibilities in the following slides.
Yeah, so thanks, Olivia, for giving a little bit of a general background for all 3 positions here. But now I'm going to dive more into like the specific like responsibilities of each position. So we'll go over the peer mentor position, the PAL, and the PA positions or peer advisor positions. So they're all like mentorship positions. They're all going to be centered around either like teaching or mentoring or advising and referring, but they do kind of have their own little differences between all of them. So starting off with peer mentor, it's going to be again like your 8 hours a week type of position where you're going to get a large caseload of first years. So again, Olivia and I are peer mentors ourselves. We have a caseload of 20 to 30 mentees, and one of our main responsibilities is actually meeting with each of them twice a quarter and just asking them questions if they have about UCR, referring them to different offices and whatnot. And yeah, just being their mentor really. And on top of that, we get to teach NASC 93 for the fall quarter with an advisor. So for example, Olivia would teach with her advisor and then I'd teach with mine. And that's only for the fall quarter. But if you have extra time out of, mentoring and meeting up with your mentees or teaching NASC, you're going to be participating in like workshops and tabling, like Olivia said, and help spreading the word about the program here at hand. Awesome. So going out to the middle column right here, the PALs or the peer academic leaders. So this position is actually pretty unique and new because it is for fall quarter only. And for those that have taken NAC 93, the PALs are actually replacing like the traditional advisor teaching style. In fact, that the PALs get to teach together. So there's 2 of them. They teach NAC 93 by themselves. So a lot of their work is going to actually be centered around preparing the class, kind of structuring and orienting it the way that they want. And so, that only lasts for fall quarter, but it is a pretty new position and it's pretty great. Lastly, on the right, we have the peer advisor positions, and it is similar to the peer mentor other than the fact that you don't get the caseload of 30 mentees. Rather, you have opened office hours or drop-in hours, they call it, for the PAs, where students could come in and ask questions whenever they want about all things CNAS, all things college, all things advice related. And on top of that, all 3 attend weekly peer meetings where they kind of go over what's happening this week, things to look out for, any new news with UCR and whatnot.
All right, thank you. So now we're moving on to the benefits of each position, now that you've gotten a good scope of what to expect with those specific positions. So as you can see here can you go back, Brando? I think one more.
Oh, one more?
Yeah.
Sorry. We haven't, there you go.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
attitude.
Yep, technical difficulties, that's all part of online remote learning. So
Mhm.
moving forward, as you can tell at the very top row, you see that all 3 of them have a lot in common. So just from those specifically, I'm gonna just pick out some of my favorites. So my favorite few is definitely public speaking. So being able to learn how to public speak in front of an audience, just like you guys at these workshops or even in the NASC 93 class. So I know before becoming a peer mentor, my public speaking was a little rough, but now it's starting to improve just a little bit here and there. But yeah, so another one of my favorite is to serve as a role model for the first year students. Like you all, or some of you have mentioned before we started our presentation of how you needed some guidance going into your first year, how a lot of first years tend to get lost. So I wanted to be there as a role model and kind of push them forward into finding their own path in college. And so all three of them have special benefits, as you can tell. So for the peer mentors, you have that mentee caseload. So that's the thing that's super special about PMs. So you start to build these relationships with these first years. And so and as you can tell at the very bottom, the pay is $15.99, and that differs from the PALs, in the middle, which is $16.99. So that one, it's a little bit higher pay to compensate for the fall quarter because that's their only time commitment, and they kind of have a more workload in terms of lesson planning and basically creating a class with NASC 93. And then lastly, for the PAs, it is volunteer basis. However, for the following year, if you do complete it, you do have a higher priority of being considered for these paid positions such as PM and PAL. So yeah, that's what's pretty special about all of them and something you can look forward to if you were to be hired as one of these positions.
Yeah, to sum that up, a lot of benefits, great job offering. So now we talked a little bit about the benefits. We also talked about kind of like what each position entails in terms of like scheduling, how many hours. But now I'm going to kind of dive into what's required to apply to the position. So if you look at this kind of chart right here, they all three positions require 1 full year of the CNAS learning community and have completed that 1 full year, as well as some personal traits like good leadership, good interpersonal skills, and experience in UCR departments and all that sorts of stuff. Also, if you're currently at UCR right now, you're eligible to apply to these three. You could be a sophomore, junior, or a senior starting, come this next academic year. And now there are differences in terms of the requirements for all the three, but they are pretty similar. They require like at least a minimum 3.0 GPA, and that is cumulative, as well as the differences also entail that peer mentor position kind of has a little bit more hours, around 8 max, as well as the peer advisors do have a smaller and shorter caseload, around 3 to 4 hours a week. But something I'd actually like to point out for the PA that we haven't pointed out yet is the bottom point says it's ideal for sophomores. So what that means is that peer mentor, sometimes there is a stress on like being older, so like a junior or a senior. But if you get the peer advisor positions, if you're a sophomore, it is a great stepping stone. And in fact, it does really increase your chances of becoming a peer mentor those following years after your peer advisor years. So again, if you're on the younger side here today, no worry, you still got a shot at peer mentor and PALs, but peer advisors would not be a bad option for you guys to kind of get your feet wet in the CNAS peer positions.
All right,
Awesome.
thank you. So now moving on to the workload for specifically the CNAS Scholars PM. So this is the workload for Brando and I. So starting in fall, as you can tell, it's a little bit more than winter and spring because that entails the NASC 93. So you have to meet with your advisor and then attend those meetings as well as preparing for them. So on top of that, you have to attend the weekly PM or the peer meeting with the coordinators, these workshop presentations, but just wanted to specify that they don't happen every single week. So like, as you can tell, there's only a couple of these PM info sessions for this quarter. So that's what we would participate in. Like I mentioned before with tabling at the UAAC lobbies. So basically to help out the front desk people kind of filter out the students who need to meet with their academic advisors. And then I mentioned NASC 93, and then the last two is meeting with your mentees. So typically you would meet with your mentees for each meeting about 30 minutes to an hour, and that happens twice a quarter. So you can also have multiple mentee meetings within one single week. So there's a really big range for those. And then as well as for the peer mentors during the summer, if backtracking a little bit, you have the opportunity to assist the CNAS Scholars coordinators in recruiting students at Highlander orientation. So yeah, that's really awesome. So moving forward into winter and spring, the hours are a little bit more minimized because you're still attending the weekly peer meetings, workshop presentations, tabling, and continuously meet with your mentees. So it's not too bad, actually.
So, yeah, Olivia dived into the schedule for peer mentors. So we're going to go to PAL, which is next. So again, to emphasize the fact that PALs, if you're signing up for PALs, if it's something that interests you, it is only a quarter long of a position and of responsibility. So for those 11 weeks, you'll be paid more. However, it is not year long. So if that fits with your schedule, great. And a little bit about what kind of goes down with those 4 to 5 hours a week. You're going to be prepping your NASC class. You're going to be teaching your NASC class. And keep in mind, in these NASC 93 classes, there's 20 to 30 first years that you'll be teaching. So in terms of that, you're going to have a lot of paperwork and homework that you may have to look over and to schedule. So again, less of a time commitment, but it is still some good work.
All right, and last but definitely not least, we have our PAs or peer advisors. So this is the volunteer basis position, but it also involves a year-long commitment. So as you can see, for fall, you only have about 4 hours a week of working. So it's attending the NASC 93 meetings because you, just like the PMs, you are helping the advisor teach the class. So you meet with them, you facilitate those two classes, and prepare for them as well. And then the last 2 points is you have your weekly PA meetings with the LC coordinators, as well as your drop-in advising hours. So this is really similar to your drop-in hours with your actual academic advisor, but with your peer advisors, it's a little bit more of a comfortable space for the students to meet with another student to ask simple questions about advising in school. And then in winter and spring, it ranges from 3 to 4 hours a week. You have your weekly meetings, you're attending or you're assisting with presenting these type of workshops, and as well as continuing your drop-in advising hours. And so for the drop-in advising hours, the purposes of them is, like I said before, with academic advising questions, but you're able, as a PA, you're able to meet with students who don't have an assigned mentor. So you're basically still like a mentor, just like the PMs, but with a different title. So yeah, those are just some of the things to look forward to as a PA.
Awesome. So, it is some big shoes to fill sometimes if you think about it, being a mentor toward these new first years. But we wanted on this slide to kind of emphasize some of the important qualities and also some of the responsibilities that being a peer mentor, a PAL, a PA kind of entail. So one of those is that your interactions are going to have to be very inclusive and confidential. So if anyone's ever heard of FERPA, you guys are ahead of the game, but every year for peer mentors, we have a FERPA workshop / training session. And for those that don't know what FERPA is, it's kind of confidentiality in terms of your interactions and what they share with you as a PM, a PAL, or a PA. So yeah, if you don't know anything about that, it's great. We all go through training. I personally didn't know much about the confidentiality part and promises about the position, but I learned. So yeah. After that, I'd say one of the biggest things that peer mentors, PALs, and PAs have to do is referrals. So, you're kind of like the liaison between the student body and also like the departments on campus, because UCR, we have so many stuff in the hub, stuff all over Pierce Hall, everywhere. So, directing your mentees towards where they could benefit in terms of their interests and their majors and their career options is something that we really pride ourselves in. On top of that, reliability and attire kind of blend into the whole professional aspect of things. This is a paid position in terms of the PMs and the PALs. So you're going to want to act the part and just the part. You know, you're representing CNAS, you're representing UCR on your shoulders if you're selected for this job and choose to accept this job. So we want to make sure that we're holding ourselves to the highest standards, really.
All right, so you guys are all here at this workshop. You're probably wondering what's next. So for spring 2021, for your commitment, your time commitment is that if you are hired, you must attend the mandatory trainings. So that the time commitment is an hour a week for the general training plus an hour a week for the NASC 93 trainings. To better prepare you for fall and the following year, even though you have summer to, I guess, plan for it, they really want to get you started with training early in spring. So as we mentioned before with the requirements, you have to have a minimum GPA of 3.0, 3.2 for the PALs, and that must be maintained to continue into the academic year. So yes, you can be hired in winter, but you have to maintain that GPA requirement into spring and for the following year.
Okay, and so, you know, we talked a bit about spring training, and there is a mandatory fall training as well, and this one's a lot more extensive and detailed. As you can see, there's multiple dates for all of the positions, but you know, these will be posted and sent out later. You don't have to memorize them, but you're gonna want to make sure that you're not on vacation, like, you know, touring Cabo or whatsoever during these dates, because you're going to want to be, I don't know if it's going to be in person or not. For ours, it was online, but it is like, for example, on the 13th to the 14th, it is like the majority of the day. So you're going to want to make sure you're free for that.
All right, you applied. Now what? So we have the link here for the applications. Y'all probably have received it in the email as well. We can definitely copy and paste this link in the chat after we are done here. So applications and resumes are due Friday, February 5th. So coming up really fast, week 5 by 4 p.m. through the online submission at the link, the Google form. And so following that, there are interviews being held weeks 6 through 8. So the interview will also include a 4 to 5 minute presentation on a study skills topic. And then as you can see at the bottom of the asterisk, that please note that submitting application does not guarantee that you will actually receive an interview. But of course, don't let that hinder you. Put your best forward in the application and then following in the interview. So after the interview, at week 9, you'll either get a callback, job offer, or potentially a second round of interview. And then so following that, if you are to be hired, there will be weekly trainings beginning week 1 of spring quarter, and those will definitely be announced if you are hired. So to the last slide, Brando.
I actually kind of want to add on
go
to
ahead,
that.
sorry.
Yeah, just notice how like stuff's coming up pretty quick. So like there's dates such as like February 5th they need to watch out for. So yeah, make sure you're on, you know, you put everything on your calendar and make sure you don't miss any deadlines, and you guys should be set on applying.
All right, any questions? Hope you all
Yeah, we just wanted
this.
to
Go ahead.
we just wanted to let you guys know that you guys can ask any questions in terms of the PMs, PALs, PAs, or even just applying in general. But yeah, we'll go ahead and probably kill the recording, Olivia, so they can ask some questions.